Hello, welcome to the BIM Student. I'm your host Chetna Chauhan. Did you know University of New Brunswick has a department named Offsite Construction Research Center? This department partners with the industry to develop solutions and workflows to generate optimum use of technology. Isn't that cool? Academia and industry working in partnership? Our today's guest has a background in civil engineering and technology management and entrepreneurship. He has also worked with Opus International Consultants that later became WSP as asset management consultant. While at WSP, he worked towards an M.Eng, focusing on infrastructure management and completed a broad collection of courses in economics, project management, business, finance, and engineering. With all this amazing education and experience behind him, he was given opportunity to lead UNB's OCRC as Innovation Director. In this role, he focuses on operations and business development by bringing industry partners and problems to researchers in academia together to help create innovative solutions for the construction sector. Additionally, his role involves creating a national network of researchers to advance new technologies and practices in Canadian construction industry. His other big industry involvements include serving as a chair of prefab, offsite and modularization think tank and a prior director at CanBIM, Atlantic Region Treasurer at Canadian Society of Civil Engineers, and several positions with Canadian Network of Asset Managers. Residing in a beautiful city of Fredericton in New Brunswick and a member of Fredericton Golf Club, our guest does his best to give back to the local community in the best possible way. Please welcome Brandon Searle. Welcome to the podcast, Brandon, and I'm so glad you're here and we are able to discuss more about industry partnership with academia. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Chetna. It's great to join you today.
Brandon, I quickly want to introduce you to our audience, and I want to hear it from you. So can you quickly run your background with us, how you've been here, like your journey, your personal background, and everything that you do here at...
Yeah, for sure. So Brandon Searle, I'm in Fredericton, New Brunswick. So I work at the University in New Brunswick, way out on the East Coast. A lot of your audience may not be familiar with Fredericton, but it's the capital city in New Brunswick. I grew up here. I went to the University of New Brunswick and took civil engineering. And then after that, I went to work in consulting. And I was actually not in the construction sector as much, I would say. It was more in infrastructure management, strategic planning, and working with companies who own public infrastructure. So provinces or the federal government or municipalities. And then in 2018, the University of New Brunswick was starting the Offsite Construction Research Center, and this opportunity came up to become the innovation director. So I applied for that and luckily received it. So in May 2019, I was the second staff member to join the newly formed Offsite Construction Research Center. And yeah, my role is really about collaborating with industry partners, getting an understanding of what their needs are and forming project scopes and identifying funding opportunities to do applied research with these industry partners. There's a team kind of a dozen plus researchers behind us, and I would rarely get into the technical aspects of the project. If I do, then that's a potential problem. But there's a team of experts, faculty members, PhD students, master's students, not only in civil engineering, but across the campus and across our university network across Canada and beyond, that we collaborate with. And our whole mandate is to move the construction industry forward, ideally towards offsite construction because of the many benefits. But a lot of the work we do is around digital technology implementation. It's BIM, VDC related, etc. So yeah, that's kind of my journey and how I got to UNB, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah, amazing. So you said that, what year did OCRC start? 2018?
Yeah, the center, the Offsite Construction Research Center, started in 2018. So OSCO Construction Group, which is a company based out of St. John, New Brunswick, They have a steel fabrication facility, precast concrete, general contractor, etc. They approached UNB wanting to form a partnership, and this was back in probably 2016. And over a couple of years, that those discussions led to the creation of an offsite construction research center. And the idea is very similar to what you see in Europe, the UK, New Zealand, Australia, where you have government, academia, and private industry collaborating to advance or do innovation in the industry. So OSCO came to us. They donated $2 million over 5 years to start the center. And that part of that was to create a couple positions. So there's the OSCO Research Chair, who is my colleague, Zen Lei. He came from University of Alberta, and he's a faculty member as well. And then to create my position as the Innovation Director. And part of that mandate is that we do, or the primary goal or purpose of the center is to do applied research with industry. So everything we do, all the students going through the center, any staff members working for the center, essentially act as an R&D arm to private industry partners. And we have several projects on the go with OSCO Construction Group companies, but also a ton on the go with several like smaller, medium-sized enterprises, both in the province and across Canada. So.
Okay, so that means you're not just working for OSCO Construction, but you're working across industry. Can you tell me what kind of research projects are you working with? Like, give me an example of the projects that we can see at UNB.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, they're quite broad right now. We have 4 primary research themes. One's around lean construction, another one's around constructability, so like, you know, physical connections, scheduling, planning. The third one is focused on augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, and how that gets brought into construction and how that integrates with the BIM world. And then the fourth are more like industry-wide projects where, you know, there's a mandate at an industry level where we want to advance the construction industry, whether it be, you know, advance through new digital, like not new digital technologies, but new technologies, I guess, in general being implemented that advance, you know, efficiency, safety, sustainability of our industry. So, and then we also want to be able to, you know, benchmark, get an understanding of what the current maturity level is of construction companies or our industry across Canada. So through these 4 themes, we have a variety of projects, and they kind of go like, we can have research projects that are like 1-week projects with smaller, medium enterprises that get funded through the NRC. And those are, you know, introduction projects where we just get to know these companies and help them with a small task, hopefully to build that relationship and turn it into something larger. These can include technology reviews, reviewing their digital workflow and helping them identify areas for automation or whatever that might be in their design process, help them with some data collection or even just review their whole process map and say, okay, we would recommend you start collecting your productivity data at these different areas, and here's how that productivity data can get used to hopefully help your bottom line in the future. So that's kind of like at a high level of projects, but to get into the specifics, we're working with one scaffolding company in the Prairie region. They were collecting, so like they work in the oil and gas sector. I don't know if you've ever been on one of these sites, but there's scaffolding everywhere. It's essentially a small city, and tracking and planning where the scaffolding will go and who's using it and which trades need it and for how long. It takes a lot of work. So we're helping them we created an application to collect the data, locate everything, implement QR codes, and then use that data to push out different metrics around the projects and how the project is advancing and how that compares to the existing schedule and budget. So that's one example. And then other ones include, you know, there was a mechanical, electrical, and plumbing subcontractor who came to us and said, we want to implement BIM and we don't really know where to start. So, you know, we did a tour of their facility, get a better understanding of what their needs are, what their constraints are, how they're currently doing things, and then made recommendations on what tools are available. And here's, it's almost like a change management thing as well, because you got to change how people who have been doing things for 20, 30 years.
Right.
So helping them with that. But yeah, it's a variety of different things, but a lot of our stuff has been in using like lean methodology in construction sites, or helping companies implement technologies that will then enable certain activities that are traditionally on site to be moved off site. And that's really our goal. So.
Okay. So tell me something, everybody on your staff is from the students from UNB, or you do external hiring too?
Yeah, so we do both. So essentially, Zen's the research chair, and then we have faculty members who work within UNB, who we would call participating faculty members. And they are often, like, they might have a structural steel or structural design background, or materials background, or construction management background. And we can pull those individuals in and those experts in, depending on the project and when the demand's there. Their day job is, to teach and also to do research as a university professor. Besides that, we have 2 research engineers. One has, ironically, is an architect, but also
that's not ironic. Architects have good jack of all trades tricks.
Yeah, for sure.
And talents.
Yeah, and it's definitely a gap in a lot of construction companies where some of those tools that architects would learn, or technologists would learn through their studies, they can implement those in different construction companies. So anyways, we have 2. Our second research engineer is actually starting May 3rd, and she has a structural engineering background. So that I mentioned the constructability theme. So we also do, structural testing, testing on the building envelope, and we're designing some pretty unique equipment to do tests to meet different ASTM standards and help companies get certifications for their new products, or if they're looking at, if in certain regions like Miami-Dade, there's requirements around due to, tornado, earthquake, different things like that. And we're going to be able to offer those testing capabilities as well. So back to your question though, we have 4 staff members right now that aren't professors, and their only focus is, the projects with the companies and supporting the students, because, students can do a lot, but they need guidance and they need some senior expertise and things like that. So
yeah, and I can see that how that bridges also the gap a lot of students used to face, that they have all these amazing ideas, but they don't know where to put these ideas to work. So this is really amazing. Tell me, if all the research work that you do for, let's say, certain companies, can you use the analysis or use the outcome of that research for other companies, or other or are you bound, like, if this is the project for this company, we can only use the results of this project for this company?
Yeah, no. So, I mean, it really depends on the company and the method being used to fund the projects. But in all cases, and I'm happy you brought it up, because it is often a concern when, we're working with company A and their direct competitor is company B, and they don't want any IP to get exchanged or whatever. So in all cases, before we get into any deep conversations, we sign a non-disclosure agreement that we have drafted, and we modify it depending on what the company wants. And then when we go to funding agencies, these funding agencies have different confidentiality agreements, different ways that they want IP to be used. For us as an academic institution, our goal is to advance, the body of knowledge for researchers across Canada and internationally. So our mandate, or our goal, for our master's students or PhD students, is they have to write a thesis. If their thesis, if they can use the results with a company to do a case study, then they'd want to publish that case study. We would oftentimes keep the company name and all that out of it, but our goal isn't, to create an own IP for commercialization reasons. It's if we bring IP to the table and the company brings IP to the table, and then new IP is created, the company would own, commercialization rights the majority of the time. There are instances where, research happens at the university, students develop some really neat stuff, and they start their own company out of it. And actually, UNB was named most entrepreneurial university in Canada, stealing it from Waterloo for like 1 year.
That's not bad. That's really good. That's really
so
good.
That was in like 2016, and there's been hundreds of startups out of UNB. So we have a really, and if people listening Google Fredericton and Google the startup or entrepreneurial hub in Fredericton, it's a small, much smaller hub, but it's growing, and so that is stuff that we're tied into as well. And we want to, create companies that, whether it be technology, like, digital technology companies, or, physical companies that are manufacturing new things. That's part of the goals of the center, and we hope that our students will do that, or be better equipped to go out in industry and make a difference. So.
Great. So if I am from industry, how do I reach the center? How do I approach them for a partnership?
Yeah, so there's a few ways to do it. Oftentimes, like, the university has an Office of Research Services, which has several technology transfer officers or knowledge transfer officers who have expertise in different industries. You can contact the Office of Research Services at UNB, and they will connect you with the individual researchers who would be best for your problem or project. You could go to our website. It's umb.ca/OCRC, and we have a offsite construction at umb.ca, or my phone number's on there. So you can contact us that way. What typically happens is we LinkedIn or the traditional social media way, but what typically happens is we get contacted by someone from industry. Usually, you find out about them through your network, or at an event like CanBIM or whatever it might be, and then you just get talking about the problems that they have, and see if there's an opportunity to collaborate on something. And what happens is, again, like, depending on the company size, depending on their experience with academic institutions, because a lot of companies haven't worked with an academic institution, and like, we aren't a consultant, and they can't really expect that. So there's a bit of give and take and learning that way as well. But yeah, typically just get in contact with us, and we'd set up a meeting, have a discussion like this, get to know what they do, get to know what they're looking for. We would draft a proposal based on that discussion for the review. We'd identify the funding mechanism that best suits it. We would draft the NDAs or the CAs for it, and do all that, the boring work to get the ball rolling. And then once stuff gets approved, then we get the project underway. And what we found, actually, and this is key, and I'd be upset if I forgot to mention this, is what we found, that the projects that have the most success have executive level buy-in, but they also have buy-in and a project champion that is like a boots on the ground type individual. So in all our projects, if the CEO or the directors or whatever it might be are bought in and believe that we can make a difference, then they will identify a couple of their staff members to support the project. And in those cases, that's when the projects are successful. We'll meet weekly or bi-weekly. The individual, and they're not long meetings, they just keep us on track, and then the individuals will meet with the project team, which is typically a couple students and one of the staff members, and ensure that everything we're doing isn't going too far into theoretical pie in the sky type research, and that we're actually staying on track and make a difference. And in those cases, we've had a lot of project success, and we've often turned projects into like large research programs. Like with one company partner, we have 4 projects on the go, several, and one's like BIM focused, one's constructability focused, one's using augmented reality, one is material testing type research, and have several students and faculty members and staff involved. So those are the ones that are very successful and should make a difference long term.
Oh, that's amazing. And Brandon, I have so many other questions, but I think we will move into the next section now. And the next section is Impossible Questionnaire. So this section is specially, and like for the first time, I'm nervous because asking questions to somebody from academia, it's quite intimidating stuff. So, but this questionnaire is designed specially with the intention that our guests are not able to answer that, and it scratches the areas that they might not be familiar with. It's still AEC industry related questions, but these are the areas that you might want to know more about. So yeah, let's start with our third section, the Impossible Questionnaire. And question number 1. Other than Navisworks, give me the name of at least 5 clash detection or interference checker programs.
I don't think I'll be able to answer that, but I know my coworkers would be able to. Can I look up my notes really quick?
No, so we can't do no cheating allowed. Okay.
So the colleague that I mentioned that is doing that has the architecture background. So he's working with a company based out of Ontario that they have like a precast concrete solution, but they also are looking at creating a digital kind of project management type tool. And one of the projects that my colleague was working on is we looked at a typical integrated project delivery contract or IPD contract and identified all the different phases, all the different stakeholders, and then identified all the different technologies. And what we found, so if I was allowed to look up my colleague's report right now, I'd be able to list out all the ones that are competition to Navisworks. But what we found was, there's Bentleys, there's Autodesks, there's Trimble's, and there's Oracle has some solutions, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some other ones, Nemescheck and so on, and they all have a lot of similar capabilities. Some are better at certain things than others, but we found that unless you really, in doing the technology review, like doing a broad review like that without having a specific project scope and knowing, what are the requirements of the owner at project closeout and who's your project team and what tools do they use, it makes it difficult to identify what would be a best solution. So I'm avoiding your question because I can't answer it.
Okay, we have to move on to the next question. I will give you the answer for this. So Navisworks is one, but there is Solibri. There is Trimble Connect, so from the Trimble, Verity, there is Clash MEP and Fusor. I have a list of 20, but I don't think we should go through that. So I'm giving you the top 5.
Yeah, no, and we're familiar with Trimble Connect more so because there's a Trimble Connect for HoloLens, and we're using like Tekla for. So we're looking into augmented reality and that workflow of Tekla to the HoloLens and things.
Okay. See, that's why I knew your involvement with the AR, VR platforms. That's why there is no question regarding that side of digital technologies. Okay, let's move to the next one. In heavy timber construction, what is a bent?
What is a what, sorry?
Bent, B-E-N-T, bent.
I do not know. We have not worked much in heavy timber, to be honest. Despite the fact that we're in New Brunswick and are 70% force. But no, most of our work has been with precast and structural steel. So.
Okay, so a bent is a plane where the columns, beams, rafters, and braces are joined together to erect like a structure. So that plane where everything connects is a bent.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Next question. What are the 3 important factors when we are determining specifications for a footing?
I will ask you the same question. I can beat around the bush and think I know the answer, but I don't know. Okay. Location.
Don't forget, this is the impossible. Don't forget, this is the impossible questionnaire. So weight of the building.
Yeah, I was gonna say loads on the footing.
Yeah, so loads, foundation wall thickness, and the load bearing capacity of the wall on the wall that needs that foundation. So these are the three most important factors for specifying a footing.
Yeah.
Next question is, what is CCDC for?
CCDC 4?
Yes.
Like the number 4, or what? Or is it like the contract?
Yeah, so there are, like, this is CCDC 1, CCDC 2, 3, 4. You know what is CCDC 4? What does it stipulate?
I don't know what CCDC 4 is, no.
So it's the unit price contract.
Okay.
Okay. I have the full definition. It says unit price contract is a standard prime contract between the owner and the prime contractor to perform required work for a predetermined fixed amount of specified unit of work performed.
Okay, interesting. Going back to the Navisworks Questionnaire you asked me, we were reviewing CCDC 30, which is the IPD one.
Oh wow!
So so I don't know. So in offsite construction, integrated project delivery is likely the best contract that supports offsite construction. Not sure how familiar you are with IBD, but I can't say I know the CCDC contracts super well outside of what we've done related to that.
Okay. So the last question: are you aware of ISO 19650 standards?
Yes.
So how many parts does that standard have? And you can just give me any one part, like what is in, let's say, what is in part 1 or part.
I do not know. I'll let you answer it because your audience will want to hear it from you.
Yes. Oh, so, some of these questions, you know what? If you would have listened to the prior podcast, you would have known this, because this is a repeat question. You're the fourth person asking this question. So
what I do know is that there's a new review going on, and CanBIM is in early discussions with Building Smart and others about creating or adapting this to the Canadian construction industry. So I know that review is underway, and there's some task groups at CanBIM doing that. So if anyone in your audience is interested in that, maybe they can get in touch with CanBIM as well if they're
I would promote CanBIM even when they don't tell me to. So that's fine. So it has 5 parts, and there is a transition guide. So ISO 19650 started, it evolved from British Standard 11. British Standard 1192. So it has 5 parts. The most important part right now is the part 1, which is, at least for us, which provides recommendations on how to manage building information modeling, or how to manage information in a construction project.
Yeah.
Okay, and there is a part 0, which is a transition guide, which means that when you're transitioning from British Standard to ISO, these are the rules that you need to follow.
Do you find that it's being commonly used or asked for by owners to follow the ISO?
Everybody who is working working in the UK, they are mandated to.
But that's only for that's government projects, right? And it's only up to LOD 200, I thought.
No, there are it's a level, if you have to go to level 3, which would be LOD 350, you need to follow that. Another thing is, a lot of companies, UK based companies, when they are working elsewhere in world, they want to mandate these projects too.
We're starting to see on the East Coast, which is great, is public owners reference the ISO standard in their RFP documents, and which is great news, because I think, like you had mentioned, the UK government mandated that for public projects, and I believe it advanced the industry, and I think that could be something here that will advance our industry locally. The other thing that goes back to the whole reason why I think you had me on is the opportunity to collaborate and partner with academic institutions. And I wouldn't say that we have all the solutions, but our center is collaborating with 8 universities and colleges across Canada So if we don't have the expertise, we can direct the individuals in the right way, and hopefully help them out. And the other thing is we're also one of like 7 centers at UNB. So we're specific for civil engineering, but we have an additive manufacturing center that's 3D printing metal. We have a wood science and technology center that's looking at different materials in the woods to create like composite materials for lumber, because obviously the market for wood and timber is increasing in construction, or the popularity is increasing, but the supply for wood is going down, right? So different
and let the forests prevail, like let them flourish.
So if there's opportunities to use hemp or different materials in your wood that actually increase the strength, that's research happening here as well. So anyways, I just wanted to put in that last plug about the other centers at UNB, because we're one of several, and yes, we're focused on offsite construction, but there are many others, and we collaborate with the additive manufacturing center on 3D printing and stuff too.
Thank you so much, Brandon. It was a very nice, very enlightening, educating and fun conversation.
Great. Thank you, Chetna.
Thanks. Bye-bye.